Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. The way these videos will stack up, you guys will probably have just seen this, blip on a video. It's Robert's XL-12. Long and short of it is a shop in Georgia told him that it only has 90 pounds of compression, and that's why the tuning won't stay consistent and why it won't rev up. It apparently will idle just fine, but it won't rev. To me, that actually sounds like an ignition problem. And as I looked through the old email chain, I believe the shop told him that somebody had changed this out for an electronic ignition, and if that's accurate, it's probably one of the chips. And I have seen plenty of those fail. I've also run them, and they do work good when they're working. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody. But apparently, we've had different carburetors on here. This is the original with the big barb and the choke thing. I can see probably what it was changed out to was a Tilly. Yeah, with the smaller old... Well, no, it's a Walbro, so this is a late model Walbro. With an idle adjustment. You know, even though this fits, I have a feeling this card might be off of a freaking McCulloch. Doesn't matter. I want to check a few things out. So what I was told is it's got a new fuel hose and a new fuel filter, and I can see the new hose there, and it's fitting pretty well. Sounds like the filter is actually hitting the bottom of the tank. You'd be surprised how many people, shops especially. Well, that's interesting. I don't know that I've ever seen one like that. I'll leave it. There's no point in replacing it. As long as they didn't tear the hose getting it through the grommet, which they shouldn't have. That's not a difficult installation on these. Now getting this to lay flat again is going to be... There we go. There's the boss in the tank just behind this top starter bolt, and hoses like to hook around that, and you don't want that to happen because it won't lay down to the bottom of the tank. Alright, good there. So I've ranted about this before, about how there's so many, that was cute, compression testers that just aren't accurate for some reason. Whether it's the tool, whether it's user error. I'm not going to go down that road of speculation. I don't care. I know mine is accurate enough to know when a saw should run and when it shouldn't. And the compression tester between my ears, that's way the hell more than 90 psi. Way more. And this little thing, oh man, the oil cap was loose in the box. Yeah, that's a nice little mess. That muffler's going to smoke like crazy. We'll just take this off. And we'll take a peek. Apparently the shop used a borescope and actually checked out through the spark plug hole and said everything was shiny and nice. Well, guess what? It is shiny and nice. Let me get it rolled over here. Come on. I'm trying not to lose it as it comes down. Look at that. Those rings are beautiful. This engine has way more than 90 psi. Come on, folks. I don't know. I just don't know. There's no excuse for this kind of stuff, and especially a shop. There is zero excuse for them to give out bad information like that. 90 psi. Who the hell are you trying to kid, folks? We'll just see what it really is. So this saw was sent to me. Robert's under the impression it needs a new piston and cylinder. And I can tell you for 100% certainty right now it does not. This is so ridiculous. I hate to think how many saws have been thrown away because of bad BS shop advice. And that was a new plug. NGK. Not my favorite, but it'll work. Hasn't run any time at all. barely discolored. Come on. I don't know if people are still trying to use the old school hold it in the bore while you're pulling it over compression tester, whether they've got some with a bad Schrader valve on the tip or no valve at all. I don't know. Alright. Let's see, first pull got us to 80. Second pull got us to 106. Third pull got us to 120. Fourth to 120, let's say 5. Fifth got us up to about 131. Sixth to 135. This doesn't need a piston and cylinder. Doesn't even need rings. There's nothing wrong with this engine. So, what is wrong? I don't know. I still think it's ignition related. I think what I'm going to do is get the muffler back together, throw some fuel in this, and we'll try firing it up and just see what it is it's doing. Alright, let's try a start on this thing and just see what she does. Okay, that's not carburetor related, that's ignition related. I can tell you that right now. Interestingly enough, it has great spark actually. So I went ahead and tested that. At least on the tester it does. That's an excellent spark. So what the ignition problem is, I truly don't know. But cutting in and out like that is a absolute surefire sign of an ignition problem. And because we've all run into it, or at least anybody who's done this for any amount of time, spark plugs that are faulty out of the package, we're going to try, just for grins, a spark plug that I would put in here as opposed to an NGK. We're just going to see if it makes a difference. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't. Didn't hear, so. But it pays to check that little silly stuff before you get deep into a repair that you may not need. Come on, baby. Well, if it's been converted to electronic ignition, it's buried underneath. Okay. I don't feel like fighting the lock nut today. too much to do to waste time spinning a wrench like that. I don't know what I was thinking. I suppose you could go with the obvious and say, I wasn't. I'm going to assume that this shop had it open. If there's still points under here, I could explain that right now with misadjusted points. The coil gap is not adjustable. You can see the coil is riveted to the lamination, so that eliminates one possibility there. The coil to flywheel gap could, in theory, if it was far enough out, cause what we were hearing there. Oh, dummy. A bad on-off switch could also cause it. A bad condenser could cause it. I'm going to have to read through that email chain again and see if the shop put this back on there. Or if I'm just making stuff up in my mind. I swear that I talked about having electronic ignition. Now this doesn't look like it's been opened, folks. No, it has. Just dirty. Alright. I need to pull the spark plug out so that I can roll this engine over easily. Wherever it landed on the compression cycle, the points are pretty far open. It looks like they might be open a little too much. Back up there. At the top. Ah, you dirty bastard. Sorry, I gotta do this. Okay, it's not terrible looking. They are closing. Might need cleaned. I don't like the way that was up. That could have been eventually sucked into the flywheel. So let's just go through a few things. Now I bought a multimeter that does more than the average off the shelf because of these points ignitions and needing to be able to reliably test condensers, at least where you can get a spec on what they should test. We're just going to go to the simple ohm setting at first, and we're going to test this on-off switch. Okay, it's not all wiggly. I'm not getting weird ass readings. I don't think that switch is bad. And this lead isn't damaged. It's not rubbing against anything, so I don't think that's damaged. The spark plug wire is tight in the coil. I mean, this is all stuff that could happen. And then we're going to take this condenser off and test it off the... Oh. You see how loose that was, guys? That might. If there's a bunch of crap under here so that this thing wasn't grounding properly. There's oil. Huh. Well, that's mighty interesting. Get that out of the way. Where's my 1/4 inch wrench? accurate way to test these condensers is completely off the saw. And an ohm meter, again, does not give you the readings that you need. So you kind of are screwed in guessing. You need something that reads microfarads. And I might not even pronounce that properly. I have no idea. Come on. F that wire up. Alright. Not swollen. You see one where the end here is just kind of bulged out. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be bad. At least in the experience I've had. Alright, I'm going to set this here, hit old shift. What are we getting? Oh, damn it. Sit still. Three 300-ish. If I'm remembering correctly, that's within range, but I'm going to have to stop the video and go check my shop manual. Because now I'm second guessing myself. I don't want to put it back together if something's goofy. So, we'll come back. Okay, I'm glad I went and looked. Something about that didn't feel right. And it's not. The book calls for a range of 0.16 to 0.2 microfarads. So the way this is ranged, that's in the thousands scale. So that's a 0.29 to 0.305. Here's a brand new condenser. 0.176. And notice how it isn't bouncing around. This condenser is breaking down. It's no good. So, I'm going to go ahead and install this, and we'll come back for a test run. Alright, what do you say we give this a shot? See how she sounds now. I love it when a plan comes together. So, where are we at? That's a tough one. I will admit, that is a tough one. If I hadn't been down this road before, that could have taken me a lot longer to figure out what the heck was going on. But I've been down that road. I have absolutely been down that road. So again, it showed great spark on the tester. You know, low RPM, great spark. But this thing was out of range. It's not even swollen. That actually kind of sucks. It actually kind of sucks a lot. That's a hard one. But that's where you need to, if you're going to work on these saws, get an ear. Get an ear for what it is that it's actually doing. If that was carburetor related, number one, there would have been more smoke, or it would have sounded lean. That one, it sounded like a wire hitting something and just shorting out. Kind of like if you got an old small block Chevy with a bad set of plug wires and they're hitting the exhaust manifold, you know. You got to develop an ear for what's carb and what isn't. And it can be tough. There's no question about it. But when you get that kind of pa-pa, 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 especially when it's throttle position related, that usually has to do with the intensity of the spark. And it can fire beautiful out here all day long, but it's got to fire into compression, and it's got to fire with an increasing amount of fuel hitting it. So that's what was going on here. That condenser still had enough capacitance to fire the plug at idle and burn an idle's worth of fuel. You start getting into throttle, it couldn't burn that fuel. It was losing spark. But it was intermittent, and that's why it would keep coming back. It's right on that, bloody edge of not doing anything at all. So it's going to go in the trash can where it belongs, or on the floor because I can't shoot. And I'm going to wrap this video up. So what I need to do is put this original carb back on for Robert. He had definitely wanted that, and I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it at all, but of course I'll test that. And then I think I needed to do a chain inspection. This is a bow bar that he runs on it, and then I think we need to order him a 24-inch regular bar to go as an option too. But anyway, nowhere near the problem. So let's wrap, before I do quit flapping my gums, let's remember where we started. The shop told him, you just got to tune it a lot because you got bad compression and it's an old saw. Not only does it have, where I quit pulling, it probably had another 5 or 6 psi in it. It has 135 psi of compression, number one, not 90. It's tuned pretty close to right. I'll give him credit for that, at least on the fuel that I'm running. I'd tune it a little more if this carb was going to stay on here, but whatever. That's where they left it with him, was, yeah, you need a new engine. Just imagine this scenario. You buy the aftermarket kit from Little Red Barn or whatever, drop it on there. You pay shop rate, you're going to be looking at $250 to throw that cylinder and piston on there and get your compression up 15 or 20 psi over what this one is, and it still doesn't run right. It does the exact same thing. How pissed off are you going to be as the owner of the saw? I mean, yeah. So even if you don't intend to work on one of these yourselves, you still want to use your local saw shop, at least have some knowledge to fact check them when they give you something that just maybe doesn't quite sound right. And I'd say it time and time and time again, and I'll say it until I fall over dead. If your saw will run, even remotely run, and cut wood, you've got more than 90 psi. Tell them to try again, because it isn't right. So, anyway, Robert, I'm real happy with this. I'm going to get some of this other work done that you needed, and with any luck, we'll have this heading back your way real soon.